Ben,
All right, Fraser.
how are you?
Yeah, good. You?
You got the memo this month?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're already...
Large, this is.
Yeah, okay, we'll run with that. So people see that we're already joined by our next guest on the podcast, Odette. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Those that don't know Odette is from Harry's Rainbow, a charity set up in Milton Keynes that will go back to where it first started, if that's okay with you. We'll look at the past, the present, and what the future looks like, and everything that you've done in between. So, we've had a couple of podcasts in the past where people have maybe got a little bit of a shock with what we're going to speak about. So, maybe a disclaimer warning that this part is going to be quite sad.
Yeah.
Over to you, Odette.
Thank you. So 14 years ago, my son Harry died. He was 5, and it was a huge shock. He wasn't poorly or anything. He didn't have any long-term illnesses, and he was a twin. So his sister Jessica, obviously, and him, and they were our only children. He was ill, was admitted into hospital, and 3 days later didn't come home. And so I had never suffered a bereavement before, really. So it was completely all new to me. But being quite a proactive person, you know, I was only in my early 30s when it happened, so I was quite young, really. I was just trying to search for support for Jessica. It's that mother's instinct sort of kicked in, and I thought, I need to get help for Jess. I need to make sure, you know, I felt already that my life was, I felt like my life was already mapped out ahead of me with you know, pain and suffering, and I didn't want this to define Jessica. So I was looking for support, and I remember having conversations with friends of mine, and I was saying there's nothing for children who have, you know, where their sibling has just died, and people like, there's got to be. And I found a national charity based down south, and the most they could do for us was send us a book. Eventually, after researching, I did find a charity based in High Wycombe. And as a family, we had to travel to High Wycombe to access support. So,
if I may, what sort of support was that?
So there was a variety, different types of support. Some of it was where we met other children and families who also had suffered the loss of a child. So we would meet some parents. Jessica would meet some children, and there was another group where they had lost a partner. So the parent, one of the parents or caregivers had died. And all the children would spend some time together. Some of the support was where we would go as a family and talk to some really lovely trained volunteers who would help us to approach subjects with Jessica that, you know, when something like this happens to you, you really haven't got everything in order. And so you make mistakes, or you make decisions that, you know, a few months later, you're like, I really didn't handle that very well. What do I do? In particular, this one, and this will probably be, I'll send this out with a warning, like you said, quite a difficult one, but something, you know, I remember doing is I really didn't know what to say to Jessica about, you know, and I don't even like this word, about Harry's coffin. So, sorry, it's upsetting, but so I didn't tell her he was in the box. And I realised a few months later what a silly thing that was to do, because I needed to explain to her, you know.
That's a parent, that's motherhood taking. You're
trying to protect her.
Looking after Jessica, yeah.
And when in actual fact, 14 years on, with the experience I now have, I wasn't protecting her by not telling her.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that now, and I realised that a few months later. So, you know, what the charity did is they helped us to sit and talk through that with Jessica and explain it to her, which was tough, but we had that support from that charity. So that was an example of what the charity helped us do, but we had to travel, 50 miles, 100 miles, very early on a Saturday morning to go and access support. You know, if it was in the week, could Lee get the time off? Could he not? He was self-employed. And things would go through my mind of what if someone couldn't drive? What if they couldn't get there? Where do people go if they can't get there? Different experiences I had. I went into a bookshop and I said, what do I read to my 5-year-old daughter? She's just lost her brother. How do I tell her? Poor cashier lady, you know, her being in that position, but I didn't know where to go. And I remember being taken to a corner and one book came out. We still have that book. It's called Waterbugs and Dragonflies. Definitely one I'd recommend for sort of 5 children between 5 and 8 or 4 and 8, depending on their emotional intelligence. So yeah, I came out of that bookshop with one book. And coincidentally, around the same time, a bereaved parents group was set up. And I absolutely would say to any bereaved parent to go and contact me, and I can give you the details, because that group is still set up to this day. Set up by some amazing ladies who were community nurses, and a couple of friends of mine also help a lot with it now, who lost their son. And, you know, I remember Lee's mum saying, oh, there's a little advert in the Citizen, about this big. Go and, you know, and it's advertising this group. And I was like, oh, I don't really know, but you know what, we'll go. And I got a lot from it, because it was being in an environment, in a space with other people that I actually felt, for once, I could connect with them, because they were in the same place I was. Possibly at different stages, but they'd lost a child. And that feels like, when you're there, such an unusual, you know, such a unique experience. So these different things that I experienced along my journey started idea in my mind of, I need to create something so that other people in our position don't experience what we are experiencing. I wanted to give people a different experience. At
that time, there's so many emotions that you'd have been going through. The shock, the grief, the
anger,
the unknown, not knowing what was to happen. But were you sort of frantically looking for that support as well, that you knew that you needed it, which is great, because that's recognition for that. But how frustrated were you that there was nobody there to help, when there was, and nothing against any other charity, but there was nothing like that for you?
Yeah, there was nothing, and it was quite surprising at first. And I mean, I was looking for the support for Jess. I wasn't really thinking about myself, and it was probably quite some years later that I realised, actually, no, I didn't really reach out and get support for myself, though it did come in as the form of a family support, which was good. I just thought, this can't, it was kind of I felt it was an injustice. It just, this can't be right. Where is the support? And there were other ways we were let down as well, which aren't necessarily related to the charity, you know, Harry's Rainbow now that I've set up, but just, you know, I wasn't contacted by a doctor. I wasn't contacted by a health visitor. I was really cross that nobody wondered how our daughter was. You know, this couple have lost one of their children, and no one's checking in on them. From a local authority perspective, you know, we had some good friends and family around us and a good community around us. But I just remember feeling, and it's really hard to think back to 14 years ago, and memories get blurred, they get distorted, and so I will always say to people that are grieving is to try and write things down, write memories down that you've got now, because going forward those memories do become distorted. But the way I feel now is that I just feel like I remember thinking, this can't be, this is not acceptable. There needs to be something for people that won't be looking on the internet, won't be searching for support, won't be trying to find it and get the answers.
So when did you know that setting up Harry's Rainbow was, like, when did that happen? Was it a year after? Was it a few months?
It was about a year and a half after. And the ideas had been formulating for quite some time, but I felt that people didn't get it. So if I spoke to a couple of people, I felt that they didn't get my vision, and that could have been a place where I was feeling that. It doesn't mean that that's how people wanted me to feel about it, but I was like, I want to be able to provide children with memory boxes, and I want to be able to bring them together. But initially, I wanted to just provide a resource where if somebody's in this position, they can go to the website. These are the books you can go, read. These are the other sites that, these are the other organisations you could perhaps reach out to. These are, some pastoral advice. These are the sorts of things that you can help people with or help yourself with. And for me, it was about creating that resource first. And over time, that's obviously expanded quite a lot.
Yeah. When you look back, you classed it as a mistake. I'm not telling Jessica about Harry in the coffin, but forgive my wording of this, the mistakes that you made then, I don't think they were mistakes because you were going through a huge amount, but those learning curves, that's helped you by pushing the charity on to be able to offer it to others, right?
Yeah, because I think people need to have options, access to resources, choices, guidance, information, so that they can then make their own decisions on how they support their bereaved children and themselves. And, I've recorded a podcast with 11 episodes, and all of those episodes touch on different things, such as funerals. And it's about us trying to raise awareness of, if we raise awareness as early as possible, people in those really, really early stages of their grief, when it's all consuming, will hopefully, be able to find access to this information that we're providing, which is why it's so important that we raise awareness, because and have options so that they have that information to hand, so that they don't, like you say, it wasn't a mistake as such, but that isn't something that happens to them.
What was the earliest part of the charity being formed that or was there a significant event or something that happened that you said, do you know what, we're really making a difference now? Was there a point in the early years?
I would probably say the very first fundraising event we did, which was a big running event, and we actually the community around us wanted to do something to support us. So we created a team of over 50 runners, but the intention for them raising those funds was that the funds would be distributed to charities that had helped us. This wasn't necessarily a formulation of Harry's Rainbow at the time, though I was using the opportunity to explain what I felt our charity wanted to do, if we had one for ourselves. But ultimately, the fundraising event was we raised over £12,000, give or take. I'm trying to remember, and we gave money to Asthma UK because Harry had asthma, and that's what caused him to be in hospital in the first place. It wasn't the cause of his death, but it was, a very big contributory factor. Child Bereavement UK, who were called the Child Bereavement Charity at the time, and that was the charity I spoke about that supported us. And the other charity was a local charity that no longer exists called the Milton Keynes Bereavement Service, which was a bereavement service with voluntary bereavement counsellors supporting mainly adults with bereavement. And so that will always remain a really significant event that we did, because we were able to give back to others in the community. But what we also did, which is quite an interesting one, and again, something that I reflect on now, being so far forward, is it was also an opportunity for the community around us to have an opportunity to do something that helped them to help us as well. It's sort of, you know, people want to know what to do to help, and it was a nice practical way, you know, for people to feel that they were doing something. And
we're going to come on to running soon, aren't we, Fraser?
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah. What, to talk about it, or we'll
both.
But how does the charity survive each year in terms of donations? Because I was really surprised when we met and I asked you that question. But just talk us through what that looks like at the moment.
I mean, I'll just give a bit of context in terms of what we do, because I appreciate I've not actually said what we do, and it's quite a big operation. So we provide over 40 rainbow groups a year, which are groups that provide facilitation for children and families to come together and meet others. We have a rainbow retreat in Camber Sands, so we send children and families on short breaks. We provide memory boxes, books, resources to both children, their families and schools, and any other organisation that may need them to support bereaved children. We provide access to therapeutic mentoring and or counselling if it's needed for a child. And we also provide trips and activities as well to help families to rebuild, make new memories, but while also in the comfort of knowing that the ones that they're doing it with are also in a similar position to them. Because I remember feeling so guilty for so long for doing things, or in fact I wouldn't do things because I felt like it was the wrong thing to do, even though I know it wasn't. But, you know, for example, going to a theme park, that's a really hard thing to do when one of your children has died. Every single thing you do, or even someone in your family, every single thing you do that follows that moment is there is someone missing. And so you don't really want to do it, but you need to, because I needed to, because of Jessica, and it wasn't fair to her if I didn't. Yeah. So I pushed myself to do these things. So as a charity, us providing those opportunities for our families takes that, you know, scenario away, so that they don't have to organise it, pay for it, do it, and we kind of make that decision for them by helping them along.
Yeah. And how many families are you helping each year?
So at the moment we have almost 500 children registered, accessing various support that we provide. It's not a linear process through our charity. There is no through. There are different services that I've mentioned that children and families can access when it suits them. So we could be supporting some families for years, some families for 2 or 3 years. It really depends on them and what they need. In terms of registrations, last year we registered 141 children to access our services. That was an increase of 56% based on the previous year. This year, for the first half year, we registered 89 children to access our support. So that's just context in terms of what we
each
do.
Year,
it's getting bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we need to provide then more groups, which means we need more volunteers, we need more funds. We're having to split our groups at the moment. We're supporting approximately 70 children, young people and young adults through our groups each month. That will be through between 3 and 5 groups a month, depending on which month it is and which group we're providing. And we're having to pull the young people and young adults away from the group for 11 and unders, purely because the venue we have is not big enough for everyone. And it's good, it's positive. What's positive is that we are reaching more young people and more young adults. And so we've raised awareness enough to tell people that we're not just a charity for little children, which is great. And it means that we can support more young people and young adults. But what it means is we need another venue. We need more income to pay for that venue, etc. So obviously that then leading on to fundraising, it's really tough.
So we use this opportunity now that you and I, all three of us, know a lot of people that are based in and around Milton Keynes in the area that have a venue, a location, whatever that may well be. And if well, I suppose me and you both asking that if anybody has that space, please reach out to Odette and let her know. And I know every business has either got a charity of the year or they've got those bits there, but anyone that hasn't, then they need to be connecting with for you and Harry's Rainbow, because that makes a huge difference.
It really does, yeah. That support from local businesses, local people, local community is what we've always relied on, and it's a cyclical process. You know, we create partnerships with organisations and people and companies. We partner with them, you know, and it's a cyclical process. We try to shop local. We try to get our suppliers. We try to make sure they're local as well. So we feel, you know, we're feeding our local community, and our local community are feeding us. But it is becoming so much more difficult to raise funds, and we have faced a very big drop in income to what we thought. To what I'd forecasted for this year. I knew it was going to be tough. Always knew this year was going to be tough, because last year there was the year following the pandemic. There was still support out there. People were still wanting to support. And I know people still want to support, but we are facing a huge economic crisis, which is affecting everybody.
Well, we're going to do our bit to help. And I know the team events always work really well for the charity. So tell us about the team events that are coming up.
So we're looking for some people to still abseil for us in September. The closing date on that's coming very, very quickly though, so we're looking for that soon.
Abseiling down
the Northampton Lift Tower, which is the tallest.
I can't do heights.
Which is the tallest lift tower, I believe, in Europe. I might be saying that wrong.
I don't know if you are trying to. I can't think of a better word. Kill me off, but you want me to do an abseil and a half marathon.
Yeah,
do you know?
I'm sure someone else in the office could do the abseil.
Arthur, do you want to do abseil?
Come on, Arthur. Come on.
It's good fun. Something I will say about all the events and challenges that the charity does. I do them all.
Yeah, but
I've done the abseil. I've done the marathon.
Yeah, you look like you can run a marathon.
Skydive.
You're in a better physical condition than
Fraser,
myself.
And abseil, you don't need to be in any and you don't even need to train. You just climb over the top and abseil down.
Listen, the reason I can't anything to do with weight restrictions, right? I went to Centre Parks, yeah, and you know the big balls that you go in to go on the water.
Zorbin,
yeah.
Like that,
so I was like, I'm a bit claustrophobic. Got there and the guy went, sorry mate, can I ask your weight? I was like, yeah, told him. He's like, you can't go on it. I was like, what? So first of all, my initial reaction was I had the ump, and then I was like, actually, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So yeah, we're gonna run the half marathon with you, and there's gonna be a few of the people. Of course I am. I'm not gonna.
You put that one in. You're doing it as well.
Of course I am.
But that wasn't clear. It wasn't.
So what we're now going to do is we're going to name and nominate, and we're going to pick 2 people, and we're going to call them out now, and who we want to join us on that half marathon for Harry's Rainbow.
Interesting.
And it's in March, by the way.
It's in March.
For
It'll
anyone.
be plenty
of time to train.
We can train together in advance.
What do you want? Somebody that can.
Well, all right.
Somebody that can complete it, or somebody that we can.
No, we'll get a combination.
Okay.
So I'm gonna. Well, Connor Slasberg.
Yeah.
I think he'd be really good.
Yeah,
Matt, he's got a massive heart, real good guy, and he's quite fit, and he'll be able to do that.
Yeah, athletically, he's fit. Yeah.
His former boss, Sam Lee, from DBFB.
DBFB, yeah.
I think I'm going to call him out. So they're my 2.
They're your 2. Who am I thinking? I think motivationally, and I don't know if he'd do it, but I'd like Eduardo. I think he'd be a great front runner. Front runner is what I said.
Taking me back to Quine. Only fools and horses. Front runner.
Eduardo, I think.
Yeah, you go and listen. He'd lap us.
No, but I think it's motivational because he's that sporting analogy. He's the lead horse, and we're going to be following him.
We'll be nowhere near him, mate.
I think
he's just done the London Marathon. I mean, by all means, call him out. But
the good news is Jack Fleckney is going to support us. So I said, "Brilliant, Matt. I can't wait to run with you." And he went, No, I'm not running. I'll be on the side cheering you on.
Cheers, Jack.
Cheers, Jack. Thanks for your support.
Well, he can do the abseil then.
Do you know what? He'd do that in his sleep.
He'd do, pretty much anything.
So Ed Caswell.
I've got to think on that. I don't know.
Very male dominated at the moment. So
we need some females in there. Come on, ladies, girl power.
Actually, do you know what? Nikki and Emily, they'll do it. Nikki and Emily from More Driver Solutions.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So
I'm gonna Nikki and Emily.
You've
do it with
definitely
us.
called out more than 2 people.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
and you can't say no.
Yeah, that's the only condition. You can't say no.
Yeah, can't
all right.
say no.
So we've got our team, and we'll all commit to raise. I'm going to put this out there as well. What's the minimum? £250 a person.
Something. Yeah. Yeah.
We have to get more than that.
Yeah, I know we will.
But
this is an event, by the way, that the Mayor of Milton Keynes, because we're his charity of the year, or one of them, he's also running it with us. So the team is going to be headed up by the Mayor of Milton Keynes.
Will he wear his as well?
We've got a plan for that.
Have we?
Yeah, we've got a plan for that.
Well, should we set a target on that?
Go on then.
I think.
Stop with the flickers.
Sorry, I think. Between us with our team, we should raise more than £5,000.
Wow.
A lot more.
What? So the team we've just said, between us, we'll have one Just Giving page. Between the recruits then go, right, £5,000.
Yeah. Oh, Chris Wright. Throw him in there. Get him on the team.
He's a runner.
He's a runner. Get him on. Chris, you're in.
Yeah.
And a little smile from Arthur as well. Yeah, I like that. Chris, see you soon, mate. £5,000 minimum, and I believe we will exceed that because of everyone that's going to pay money to see me and you do it.
I don't know, but I run already, mate. I think you're on your own there a little bit.
Yeah. Do you already run?
Yeah, I know I don't look like it, Odette, but yeah, I do like to run.
How often do you run then?
Most days.
Do you?
It's between about
That's
6
brilliant.
and
You
half,
kept
6 when the
that
ice cream
quiet.
van goes past.
I haven't heard that one before.
You kept that really quiet.
Yeah, no, I do.
To be fair, you used to be a little bit more vocal about your running, and you have gone quiet on it. But he's pushing
Fraser's
himself.
referring to my Instagram there.
So what's the furthest you've run?
14k.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to do the. I'm doing the Great North Run in September. That's a half marathon.
Brilliant. Yes, it is. Yeah.
So yeah.
What's
one
the
of the only ones
distance
I've
of a half
done.
marathon? Sorry.
What's the distance?
13.1
miles.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay,
So I did 14k the other week, and I nearly had a Paula Radcliffe moment. Like I genuinely, and when I looked at my Strava and I was like 14k, and I'm thinking,
Gonna have to stop.
another 50%, and then I've done it. I don't ever take the mick out of Paula Radcliffe. Let me tell you.
No.
I am. I was just talking to Odette before we came in. I don't enjoy running. I never have enjoyed running. I don't.
Well, when you used to come to the gym with me, you got on the treadmill, but you never ran.
No.
You just used to walk uphill. On his phone.
You will be converted. Trust me. Do
You get the bug.
You know the running
I'm
team.
I'm not going to get the bug.
The running team.
I will do it mentally. As Jack said, thank you, Jack. Once you put your mind to something, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
I think that's called stubbornness. But
yeah.
I will do it. But
is Fraser stubborn? No.
Oh no, that's another one on the tick list, isn't it? But yeah, I don't. I might be converted, but I don't think I will continue the running afterwards.
We'll see. Because the team that we originally put together, I would say over half of them had never run a half marathon before, but they were also determined to do it. I always remain so proud of everyone that did that first event for us, because everyone was just like what you're saying. No, we're just going to do it. We are going to do it. And everyone was different stages and different times. It didn't matter. It was about achieving it. And that's what next year will be. It's going back to our roots, doing the running event, and smashing it.
Yeah. And you're coming to the MK Education Awards in September?
Yes, I am.
Brilliant.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, looking forward to that as well. And before we leave, how's Jessica? What's Jessica up to now?
She is. She smashed her A levels. She was the cohort of children young people that didn't get to do GCSEs because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
But she absolutely smashed her A levels, and she's now doing a digital marketing apprenticeship with Mercedes.
Oh, brilliant!
Mercedes trucks. So she's doing all right. Yeah.
Good.
And she's just had a mention in their newsletter because she did the skydive.
Did she?
Yeah, she did a skydive a few weeks ago, and she was not afraid. And she also did the abseil, by the way. She did it with me, and she just put her leg straight over the wall. She went, "Come on, Mum," and I'm like, "All right, Jess," and she's just like leaning back, and I'm going, "Oh my God, this is actually a little bit scary." But it was so good. But yeah, no, she's really supporting the charity as well, and it's what all of our children. I had 2 boys after Harry died, Isaac and Joseph, and they're all very, very much a big part of the charity, and they will also be running next year, because you don't just have to do a half marathon, you can do a 5k, a 10k,
Don't tell him that. He's doing the half marathon.
No, you have to do the half marathon.
Right.
But the children can do a 5k, so we're going to all be there as a family taking part.
I just had a flashback to abseiling. Do you remember the Frontier Centre?
In Erthingburgh.
Yeah, did you go there with school?
No.
I did the abseiling there, and I think I froze at the top of it. I went down eventually, but...
How big was that tower?
Going back, it's probably about 6 foot or something. Wasn't it?
I
can't imagine it was very...
I might want to edit that bit out.
I'm going to take it out.
The Frontier Centre in Erthingburgh compared to the Lift Tower.
That's why I'm not doing it, because I froze. I just had a flashback to not being a fan of heights, but there's got to be somebody out there that will do the abseil.
Yeah,
there's got to be.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll
find somebody.
Yeah, 'cause I can't do that. We'll ask the team, but I can't do heights. Sorry, but
I'll let you off as you're doing the half marathon. I'm impressed. I didn't think you were.
I just want to say, on behalf of all of us here, thank you ever so much for opening up and telling us about your story. I think you, Lee, Jessica, and Isaac and Joseph are incredibly inspirational, and I'm sure I can't even imagine, words can't describe what you've been through. But for the hundreds and hundreds of families that you've helped, well done. Pretty amazing, pretty special.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's amazing. I said that, and I'll stand by it.
Now you're making me feel all emotional.
Well, we'll go one further. I said the first time I heard about the charity, I had to sort of take a really sharp intake of breath, because it made me feel really, really sad. But then the more that I've got to learn about the charity, the more I've got to learn about you. And I may have had a few shandies when you said this to me, so it might not be 100% correct, but I don't just want to be seen as running a charity. I want to be seen as an entrepreneur for doing things differently. And that struck a chord with me. And I thought, the fire that's alight in your belly, well done. Well done.
Thank you. Really, thank you very much. Good. Thank you.
But yeah, anybody in our audience, please, if you can, support the charity. Get in touch with either myself or Ben, or directly with Odette, and I'll start training in about 2 weeks' time, I think.
Yeah, all right, good one.
Plenty of time.
Right. See you soon.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.